Welcome back to the vlog and welcome back to Yumbai-Tok, Papua New Guinea. We are here at this bush location heading up to Wewak, just a 35-minute flight, so let's go ahead and get started. It's 7:30 in the morning. All right, low start. We're 14%. We'll flip on my fuel because I'm on a pretty steep side slope and I don't want all my fuel going to the other tank. Energy is coming up over 30%. ITT is coming up at a nice rate and peaks out at 712. Yeah, I had a dawn departure this morning. I was planning on a big day, but the weather forecast has changed overnight and now it's rain where I need to go. And it's supposed to be storms all afternoon getting back into Goroka, and I have passengers on the way back, so I think for the rest of the day I'm just going to hang out in Wewak and then do my flights tomorrow, which is kind of a bummer. Let's get a radar going now, because it takes about a minute to do. Putting it on standby, not actually turning it on. Fuel caps and selectors, our controls are good. Turn Betty off for takeoff. Switches and instruments, we'll go back at 10,000 feet. We're 5970, so 6,000. We're 57 and 67. 67 if we had to come back in for a reason, an emergency or whatnot, and 57 or rotate. Yes, and low fuel, but I really don't. It's just sitting on the side of the hill. All right, trams are getting set up. If we are not those banana trees up here on the right, where that chicken is now walking out onto the runway. If we're not airspeed alive, 35 knots at that point, then we're going to go ahead and full reverse, heavy braking, flaps up, cut off, pull off, shut off. If we're going off, we're going to go off to the left into the trees and bushes rather than off the end, which is a cliff. And it looks like I have a quartering tailwind for takeoff once I get out to the clear, so I'm just going to basically take off and then just keep my nose over so I can get my speed up a little bit quicker. Give myself a little bit more margin. And then over 90 knots, and we'll start climbing up. After takeoff, we're going to pitch for 85, consider EPL, consider feather, full flaps 80 down to the riverbed. Emergencies cracked my door, and I probably won't even be able to get a hold of anybody for Mayday call. Orsby 120.7, November Tango Zulu taxi. Right, ignition inlet lights done. Orsby 1201, November Tango Zulu taxi. Orsby 6538, November Tango Zulu taxi. November Tango Zulu taxi, Yumbai-Tok, Wewak, 1 POB. Ignition condition, come on dog, stay off the runway. 25, we're at sea level more or less, so 1680, so 1630 for 1680. Ignition condition, flaps 20, fuel and harnesses. Checklist is complete, rotate 57. I go full right aileron just because I've got a side slope. Come on guys, just run out there and kick the dog off. I'll just look at it. Oh, don't just stand there. Just walk up to the dog and kick it off.
A few minutes later.
Alright, now he's finally off. Alright, ignition condition, flaps 20, fuel and harnesses, 1630 for 1680. Come on people, let's go kick the dog off.
Three days later.
Oh, they're finally running to get the dog off. I'm not going to take off if the dog's 5 feet from the edge of the runway.
One eternity later.
All right, now we can go. 1630. There we go, airspeed's alive, there's 35, continuing. And there's airborne with the tailwind. We got my ITT at 720 right now, or correction, 740. Only got 3 or 4 knots of tailwind, but definitely you do feel it, even just with that little tiny bit. Right now that we're over 90 and climbing, we'll go 20 degrees of flap. Or about 100, so we'll go 0 degrees of flaps and bring our prop back to 2,000 RPM. RTT is just going to come right back down to 720 like it should. We're coming up to 10,000 feet on the way back to Wewak. Not way back, but on the way to Wewak. I just came from Kuroka this morning. My schedule had me flying all the way up to the upper Sepik today. It is raining and storming up there right now. And I've got 3 locations to stop along the way. So unless I can get all 3, because I have passengers for each one of the drops, then it's really kind of pointless to even bother trying to do any of them, because it's such a long, it's an hour flight out there. And we don't go out there that often, and these guys, these are people that live out there in the bush, so I kind of need to be able to drop all 3 of them off. So if it doesn't work, basically I'm just going to have to spend the night here in Wewak. Tomorrow it's going to be beautiful weather, and then do all my flying then. Orders B120.1 November Tango Zulu. Now let's try my HF. Orders B6538 November Tango Zulu departure. Orders B November Tango Zulu departed Yambai Talk 35, tracking 344 on climb 10,000, estimating Wewak 10.
Confirm estimating Wewak at 2210.
Estimating Wewak time 2210, November Tango Zulu.
November Tango Zulu. Secretary Wewak, column
126.7. I thought I'd just use this flight just because it's kind of a boring flight. There's not a lot going on. I think the weather's supposed to be pretty decent in Wewak. I was just going to cover the G1000 and how I have it specifically set up, because every pilot's going to set their G1000 up just a tiny bit different. You can see that my altimeter setting, or QNH, has just started flashing. When we go through 6,800 to 7,200, it starts flashing. Remind us to change to our area altimeter setting. So we have our areas and then we have our locals. Heading out of Kuroka, which is 5,000. We have it set up at 7,000, so we'll have our area QNH for Kuroka, and then once we get up to 7,000, it reminds us, hey, you need to turn it down in preparation for your area QNH, otherwise you'll be off like 300 feet. But I'm already on the area QNH, so I just click it off and back onto 1010, which is equivalent to like 2982 or something like that. That's what it looks like. Here you can see my ICAO codes, where I'm flying to or from and to. So I'm flying from Yambai Talk up to Wewak. I've got 69 more nautical miles to go. It's going to take me 30 minutes, but it'll probably be more like 25 because I'm in the climb. Once I get up to 10,000, we'll probably drop off another 2,000, like 5 minutes once I actually level off. We got our VHF frequencies. Like I said, they just switched over from having Madang and Moresby flight service stations, and they just combined them all into Moresby. I'm curious to know if they've added any more repeaters, For the radios or not, otherwise it's a lot longer of a distance to go, and depending on how those, I'm not 100% sure how they work, but how they're positioned, I think might make a difference on how well we can get a hold of Moresby. So here's my altitude that I've actually put in 10,000 feet. Once I get within 200 feet, I'll hear a chime reminding me that, hey, you're just 200 feet. Do you want to level off with the autopilot? Do you want to just push over? And then down here, we got our bug that we can just move around. I'm flying on GPS-S on autopilot right now, so it's just going to fly the magenta line and eventually line up with those boxes, which makes it really nice. Pilots don't like the boxes. I actually like them, because at any time you can quickly see how far off of your course you are. You can also see it obviously if this isn't lined up, but when you are flying in IMC, and it makes it super easy. Like my 8-year-old son can fly through the boxes, so if he can do it, then I can do it, right? We have our airspeed over here, ground speed, our true airspeed. And then this 10 knots right here, that's the direction of the wind is coming. So I've got 10 knots direct tailwind and then 2 knots of crosswind. That's super handy at bush locations because the wind socks never show an accurate representation of your approach. It might on touchdown, but your whole approach is going to be way different than your touchdown area. So that's really, really handy, and that lets us know if we have basically limits on we can only land with like a 5-knot tailwind into Yumbai-Tok. It's going to quickly let us know, hey, I'm either over that or I'm under that. I'm good to go. We have again just saying the distance to WEWAC, which is also up here at the top. Our transponder, there is no radar services out here, so some of them are at 3,000, some of them on 1,200. So yeah. That chime was just letting me know I'm now 200 feet before 10,000 feet, so it's going to start leveling off. So on my inset right here, this little map, I have my terrain set on, my storm scope, which is just going to be the lightning strikes on there. I have my terrain on this little one, and the reason I don't have it on the big one is because when you're coming into low valleys and stuff, I don't want this thing to be filled up with red and yellow. I don't mind having showing up here because this is the same map as here. I can zoom into this one down to like 10 nautical miles and then have this on 30 nautical miles, so I can still see my valleys that I want to go down, and it doesn't just fill up the whole screen with red and then you don't know exactly where your valley. Well, you would, because you'd see where it's red and yellow, but it makes it a lot easier having it on the smaller one. We've just leveled off at 10,000 feet. The next thing I have to do is pull my torque back to 1250. Super sensitive. There we go, 1250 and 2000 on the RPM. And just looking out towards WEWAC, it looks like there's some maybe rain out towards the ocean. I can see the coastline right here, and maybe a little bit of clouds just on the mountains just before. Let me show you on the map so you can see. So it looks like we've got some clouds that we're seeing directly in front of us. It's cleared over in this area because I can see the coastline, and then it looks like we might have some rain out in this area. Set up our descent to WEWAC. We want 1,000 feet for pattern altitude. Hit enter, and then come on down to your vertical speed target. And we'll just do 800 feet, so enter on that. It's a nice top of descent mark right there. And then Bendy will also remind me that it's time to go down. 29 miles to go for WEWAC. We'll make an area call now. 126.7. All stations WEWAC 126.7. Kodiak November Tango Zulu 200 miles to the south, passing 9,000 on descent. Circuit time WEWAC 03.
November Tango Zulu Moresby, and then for the traffic for descent to WEWAC.
landing checklist. We will go selectors, or fuel selectors, and our brakes. Turn Betty back on. Turn off Todd. Our VREF. I'm getting a bunch of lightning strikes right on my course. That's awesome. The thing I'm going to do is just go heading mode. Now it looks really clear over here, so rather than going IMC through here where there are indicated lightning strikes, we're just going to make a right-hand turn where I can see the coast and then it's clear, and we'll just get down underneath that way. Just because it is saying it has lightning strikes, I don't know if it's necessarily full-on lightning strikes or just a bunch of static electricity in the air. Now that I'm actually down just this first layer, it looks like I can just stay in between this layer right here and then head all the way to the coast. Stay above any clouds, and then once I get over top of the water over Wewak, it's almost probably for sure that it's going to be open. So I'll just shallow my descent a little bit, stay in between these layers. Basically, yeah, the GPS just picks up a static electricity or whatever else as far as I know. You can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but that's my understanding. Because I've been flying some days where it's had hundreds of lightning strikes, but it was a very kind of stable environment, and it didn't really seem to actually indicate that from what I was seeing. It looks all right now that I'm below that layer a little bit. All right, let's go ahead and get our VREF. Our weight's 5,700, 5,800 thereabouts, so we'll land at 65 knots at the slowest. Looks like we do have some storms out over the water, probably 20 to 25 miles out. And like I said, all that kind of stuff and where this is right here is all going to just continue to build up throughout the day. So I don't want to get out there and then get stuck and not have many options on where I can actually go. My guess is once we get right past these little mountains, it will just drop right off down to the coast, and it should be clear down on the coast is what I'm expecting. There we go. Looks like I'm seeing the coast in Wewak now, so that's good. Just increase our descent rate down to 1,000 feet per minute, so that nice little cyan mark, the arc, will come on down and sit right on top of Wewak, and then I know I'm going to get to 1,000 feet right over top of the runway. All stations, Wewak 1267, November Tango Zulu 10 miles to the south, passing 5,000 on descent. Circuit time 04 Wewak.
November Tango Zulu, miles to confirm, estimate Wewak.
04.
November Tango Zulu.
Bring into a downwind, let's go prop forward. We're now below 140 knots to inlet. Degrees of flap. November Tango Zulu in the circuit, Wewak, cancel SAR. 20 degrees of flaps.
November Tango Zulu, Wewak, Fox terminated.
November Tango Zulu. If we do need to go around, power up 20 degrees, pitch for 73, and maneuver is required, reset torque 740. It looks like we'll have a crosswind on landing potentially.
500.
11 knots on my head right now, on my nose. Fan harnesses are done, flap to go. Right, full flap, checklist is complete. Just 4 knots of crosswind now. We're just coming at 70 knots. There's really no point coming in really slow. just touch down around the 500 foot marker so that we don't have to use our brakes very much. Or really at all. We'll go low idle. We'll probably be putting it back to high idle so that the fuel guy can hear me pull in, otherwise he won't come down and fuel me. Our plane is a little too quiet. Anyways guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that flight from Yambaitak here to Wewak. Looks like I'll be hanging out here for the day, going out to lunch, enjoying the rest of my day pretty much. I really do appreciate it if you guys give me a thumbs up. Helps my channel grow for sure. So thanks for joining along and welcome to Wewak. This is MAF hangar. I actually flew with MAF for about a year back in 2015 when we did not have the Kodiaks and they needed pilots and we didn't have any check-in training pilots. So yeah, I went on alone with them. It was a great experience and that's where I got all my training from, is from MAF. Right, shut down, turn our blowers off, all of our lights off, aux bus, generator, alt, idle, and feather. Alright guys, thanks again. See you next time.